This is Katherine Cespedes, and you are listening to Yogini from the Block, where we talk about taking spiritual practices and spiritual principles off of the yoga mat and into our real lives. You can listen to this bi-weekly podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play Music, and anywhere that you catch your podcasts. Welcome to Yogini from the Block. This is episode 8, titled More Than Enough, subtitled An Attitude of Gratitude. So we are on May 31st at this point, and my birthday just passed.
So how was your birthday?
It was amazing.
Some reason I missed it. How did I miss it?
I don't know.
What date was it so everybody next year can send you a gift? What date?
May 22nd.
May 22nd.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So what's it like to be 28? 28.
It is almost like 27.
Well, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But now I'm 28. And that's the only difference. And what is really cool is that I remember sometime in February I was talking to a soon-to-be minister, Kimjera Whittington.
She's awesome.
She is absolutely amazing. And she was telling me how one of her friends no longer turns a number. She turns an age. I mean, she no longer turns an age. She turns a word.
Oh, a word.
A word, yeah. So I decided that I wanted to do that too.
So what's the word?
Bold.
Bold.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. I just installed an app on my website from a company called Bold.
There you go. It's just following. It's all these serendipitous events.
Yes. Synchronicity.
Mm-hmm. So in this week, what I really discovered is that I am more than enough. And I really thought about it, like how many of us fall into that trap that we aren't enough for what it is that we want, that we aren't enough, that we aren't smart enough, that we aren't kind enough, that we aren't ready enough. There's always this not enough of. We don't have enough money. We don't have enough support. We don't have enough of you fill in the blank. And this weekend, I discovered that I have more than enough resources. I have more than enough love. I have more than enough friends. I have more than enough support. I have more than enough for everything and anything that it is that I need.
So how did you discover all this?
So for my birthday, I had my little sister flown in. And the whole time planning up to my birthday, this is going to sound kind of odd, but if you relate, if this resonates with you, you understand why. But coming up to my birthday, I was like, I kind of just want to skip the whole week. Like if we could skip the week and jump into June and be like, yeah, that happened, that'd be wonderful.
What was that about?
It really was just that I had this feeling like I haven't done enough to be 28 yet. Like, I'm not there yet. Like, there are things that I need to do and things that I need to prove before I turn 28. And I try to get people together to go on the hornblower cruise. And nobody responded. Like, I think I had like 1 or 2 responses. And I was like, oh, okay, fine. I'm going to have a great old time. And I'm just that kind of person that if things don't work out, I'll figure something out. I'll make good of what I've got. And there was a whole surprise dinner set up for me where all the people that I had reached out to said that they were busy, and they were there. They were there, and my sister had planned something, and she kept making a joke about, is there something that we're doing this Saturday? Is there, like, did you want me to do something with you? And I'm like, lady, you're my sister, and you keep forgetting that I have plans for my birthday. And this whole time, for like 2 months, my sister Lexi, my sister Caitlin, and my boyfriend Kevin had been planning this whole like surprise for me, and just seeing them there and knowing how much work that they put into the entire week basically made me feel like I don't tell them how grateful I am. I don't tell them enough. I don't tell them how much support I get from them, because this podcast, you know, number one, where they're like, I heard your podcast, good job. Or I watched your Wednesday night, good job. And those are the little things, but I keep moving and I keep thinking, I'm just not enough. Like, I don't have enough information. I don't know enough. I haven't gone to school long enough. I haven't been on this earth long enough to know all the things that I need to know. And this weekend really made me stop and feel the gratitude. Like, just take in the gratitude. Just really let it live in me. And I know how much support I have. And still, the revelations came, right? Revelation number 1. I was talking to my best friend and I was like, for some reason, I feel like I don't deserve a man that is that great. She was like, why not? You're awesome. You're wonderful. You're beautiful. You're this, you're that, right? Best friend kind of talk, right? And then 2 seconds later, I kid you not, she goes, I don't know if I deserve a man that's good enough. And I was like, you see how you fall into the trap? You see what happened there? You're telling me that I'm worth it. You're telling me that I'm great. You're telling me how wonderful I am. But for some reason, we forget to really take it all in. We can tell our best friends, we could tell our parents, we could tell our brothers or sisters how wonderful they are. And for whatever reason, we forget to tell ourselves. We forget to really remember that we are enough. We are enough for anything and everything that it is that we want. Right? Yeah. Revelation number 2 actually happened today. I'm going away on a retreat, right? It's the NextGen retreat up in the Redwood Forest area. And these are for individuals from like 18 to 35 that are in the New Thought movement. And I'll be up there with like Reverend Abigail and practitioner Audra Nichole. Like these really wonderful, illuminated individuals. And for an hour, I thought no one can cover me because no one can cover me on Sunday, so I'm just not going to go. I called Audra and I was like, can I get a refund? And she was like, no, honey, like there's no refunds at this point. And I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. I think Reverend Christian will be fine if I just don't show. If I just don't go to the retreat, I think he'll be even more happy that I'm here. And I realized that there was a moment where I was like, are you ready to expand? Like, are you ready to expand far beyond what you thought you could be? Are you ready to become a better individual? So I even made a joke about it. And the person that's helping me, I told him, I was like, Richard, don't worry about it. I figured it all out. I guess that was my pansy way of trying to not go. And for some reason, I figured if I don't go, no one will even notice. I call Richard and I tell him, and I was like, I guess I'm going to have to go and become a better human being, huh? And he laughs. And I'm like, yeah, I deserve to go up there. I deserve this space. I deserve this time. I deserve to give that to me.
There's another byproduct in service to others that happens, which is you leave, the cup is empty, and it allows somebody else or something else to fill the space.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't know who it is. We don't know what it is, but there's a void, and Spirit will fill it.
Yeah, Spirit definitely did, because I was like, all right, Spirit, I'm not going. And Spirit said, no, wait a minute, hold on. Here is your solution. And the moment that the solution came, like it was an image that came into my mind, I was like, now I got to go. Now I've got to go. So I remember calling Audra and I was like, I'm coming. And she literally had to pull over and they started cheering and they were hurraying. And I was like, I didn't think that there would be much of a difference. I didn't think anyone would notice if I didn't show up. And when I told my boyfriend, he was like, have you not spent time with you? Because if you don't want her, you can send her to me. You know, like, you're amazing. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I think I'm pretty cool. And he was like, if you're tired of you, you just let me know and I'll just go and pick her up. So it's this reminder that we make an impact wherever we go, right? We make an impact to whatever it is that we are doing. And for whatever reason, in these two situations, I did not fully grasp how much I meant, how much of me was, not that it was needed, but would be accepted, would be desired, to add to the conversation, to add to the experience, to add to the momentum of what's happening. And it made me think, like this whole week I've been thinking, like I am so loved. I am so loved. And I think we forget that. And it's not only in the people that traverse our lives. It's not only in the interactions that we have, it's in this bigger entity. That is what I feel. That is what I remember. That is what these relationships show to me. It's what that unconditional love looks like, right? It's like the ocean. It's never ending. And what these relationships are doing is that they're adding their droplets of love. So it's not that they're any more or any less, but they're adding to the ocean of love that's already there. And
it's a nice image.
Yeah, and it's really about being grateful for that, because the moment that you think that you lack anything, you lack everything. Like, you could think that I just need to go do one thing and then I will be happy, and you get there and you're still like, I'm still empty. Oh, okay. You know what it is? I need one more level. And you get there and you're still like, I'm still not happy. I just need one more level. And that's what we do. We continue chasing this love.
It's the booby prize.
Yeah. We keep chasing this the carrot, right? Like the carrot on the stick.
Yeah.
Right?
If I had this, then this would be okay, or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's about actually that attitude of gratitude. Like, I've already got this. I've already got this unconditional love. I've already got this acceptance from self. I've already got this appreciation of who I am, what I do, and how I walk in this world. Mm-hmm. I've got this appreciation for myself. And that, taking care of ourselves, I think, is the key. Because even as I was like, Reverend Christian, I think I'm not going to go. He didn't even blink an eye. He was like, this is good for you, right? And he didn't even entertain my conversation at all. He was like, this is good for you. You need to he was like, this is work. You're just working in a different environment. And I was like, okay, all right. So I guess I got to go. But I kept trying to find ways out. Subconsciously, maybe this is too much. Maybe these people are just way too woke for me, and maybe I can't just blend in. We all have these thoughts, but it's about not getting sucked in by them. And that's where a lot of our sadness lies. That's where a lot of our anxiety lies. That's
where your sadness and your anxiety. And I'm just mentioning that because I think it's always good to put it in your first person.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And for whoever it resonates with, is about these thoughts that chase this one feeling.
Mm-hmm. So I'm just curious, when you're in this place of gratitude, do you find yourself more present?
Yes.
Yeah, because it's pretty difficult to have gratitude and not be present. I mean, you can think about the past, but gratitude brings you into the present, is my experience.
Well, you can think about things that you were grateful for in the past, and then it brings you into the present moment, and almost like, okay, so one time I was driving and I remember looking out and saying, wow, I love those purple trees. So these leaves were purple and they're vibrant. And I remember my boyfriend, actually, he was like, oh my God, I didn't even see them until you mentioned them. And now they popped up like bright lights. That's really what it is. When we focus on the gratitude that we've had in the past, it all that we're grateful for now kind of pops up like little lights. They just show up. They've been there. We just didn't really, we weren't aware of them because of whatever reason. Same thing when we think about the gratitude we would feel in the future, right? Whatever we're grateful now kind of pops up, and you see it and you're like, oh, but I have this now, and I have this now, and this is here. It's not really about having it. It's about all the things that were present that for whatever reason I didn't see. Until I kind of highlighted the gratitude in whichever realm, the past, the future, and like you said, it brings you back to the present, and they light up like the lights on your trees. How some of them light up and some of them go dim. It's just like that. The moment that you feel that gratitude, everything we are grateful for now kind of pops up, and there's so much more of it. Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah. And it's so refreshing. It is so refreshing because if you didn't listen to the last episode, I was just walking out of the dark night of the soul. And as as wonderful as that experience was, again, came back into the present moment, being mindful of what is happening today and being grateful that I was able to go through that so that I can feel that for myself and come out on the other side. We can always come out on the other side. And I've discussed this before about how, millennials, I laugh because millennials, for some reason, like it has such a taboo on it, but we're awesome. I think we're awesome. All generations are pretty awesome, right? So millennials are seen as people who don't want to work, people who don't want to be in relationships, people who don't want. That's like the big, bold word, right? But if we look at it from what we do want,
that's exactly what I was just going to say.
Yeah. When we look at it from what we do want, is that we do want to make a difference in this world. We do want to have a significant relationship. What we do want just looks different from what has been. Mm-hmm. It's the only difference. It's just it looks different. It's
actually not much different from what I wanted when I was a millennial in my generation.
So it's different from the norm.
Yeah.
Right? You would agree with that. It's different from the norm
Totally.
of what it looks like. So even, my generation, we were, most generations, you go to school, you get your diploma, you get out, you get into the workforce, you need to go to a good school, you need to get good grades in order to get a good job and get a good pay. And now we're questioning those things.
Yep.
We're questioning, why is that the norm? We're questioning what feels right for me. We're questioning these things because why not? Because now we're really looking, or at least I am, and the people that I have around me are really looking at what does make me happy, what really does move me, what really does create this abundance of appreciation and gratitude in my life. And it's beyond beautiful. It's beyond beautiful because in all that I've experienced, there is this letting go of the story that I've created for myself, and that's another point. It's the release of the story that no longer serves me, because it got me up until this point, and I appreciate it. But do I need to hold on to this belief in order to continue, in order to be the woman that I want to be? Mm-hmm. Or can I let it go in order to transform into the bigger version of who I know I can be? Right? So there's a lot of letting go and reemerging, a lot of releasing and accepting. So with all the loving birthday support and love and celebration, and with this retreat, it's really been about accepting that, you know what, Kathy, it's okay. It's okay to feel loved and appreciated. It's okay to accept a gift. It is okay to be, to go on vacation. It is okay to not be here for one day. It is okay to go out there and expand. It is okay to take care of yourself and to appreciate yourself and to be grateful for who you have become and the life you have experienced. It is okay. And it's really moving into that space of appreciation for who I have been, who I am, and who I am becoming. It's appreciation, like appreciation and gratitude kind of like go hand in hand. I feel like if they date and they like hold hands and they like walk down the spiritual road with me. And every time I am feeling anything other than happy and joy and unicorns and butterflies, it's because I'm not being grateful. It's because I am looking at where I am lacking. It is because I am judging myself. And Marianne Williamson is coming to Seaside on June 15th. Mm-hmm. And that is incredibly exciting because she talks about this. She talks about this, this being the lamp, right? So she talks about being a lamp, right? So if we're all lamps, all different shapes and sizes and colors with different shades, and we focus on being the lamp, we forget that we need to plug in the lamp in order to be the best bright lamp that we can be, right? So in this analogy, in this metaphor, it really is about plugging into source, right? Letting that light, letting that energy become us, be us. Letting go of the story that I have to be the tallest lamp or the brightest lamp, but just be a lamp. Just allow that light to flow through you. Allow the answers to flow through you. And it's always funny for me. Honestly, it's always funny for me to have these revelations because I think you knew that. You totally knew that. Why are you doing this to yourself? But now I laugh. I don't sit there and grill myself for too long because that creates nothingness for me. So whenever I have these revelations, I'm like, all right, good job. Good job. You knew this already, but now you really know it. Now it's marinated inside. Like you're good. Like you are savory now.
So if I may, I want to just point out that you have really, really nice conversations with yourself.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I mean, it's that we all do self-talk. We haven't really talked about this too much, but it's just been incredibly consistent. I was actually the other day telling somebody about you on the podcast, referencing a particular episode where you actually had a conversation with your younger self. And you have wonderful conversations. So it's just for those people listening to just pay attention to, Yeah,
and you had mentioned this before. You had mentioned this on one of the episodes where you're like, there's this moment where you were having the self-talk, and I'm going to keep it. And I was like, yes, let's keep it. And this is true. Self-talk is a very important aspect of my growth.
Mm-hmm. And you've learned quite a bit from your quote-unquote inner child, younger child.
Yes. A part of it was because I was kind of telling her that she didn't know enough. And now it's accepting that you did know. How can we, walk this together? Mm. The integration of who I've been with who I am and kind of letting go of what we don't need anymore. Mm. The self-talk really comes in because you ever notice there are people that give great advice, but then they don't take them. That's where that came in. Because I've experienced it where I'm like, that was awesome, but you don't do that.
Not walking the talk.
Yeah, so I'm talking about myself. I'm not talking about other people, but I'm talking about myself.
Where come on, drop some names.
where I give friends awesome advice, and then I'm like, well, that'd be great if you did it. You're gonna do that, Kathy? So it's really about having that conversation with myself. And there was this one day where someone was like, you would not let me do this. Whatever you're doing right now, however you're feeling right now, you would not allow me to do what you're doing right now. So again, I had to go in there and I was like, all right, what would Kathy do? And these are where these conversations come in, because we are our own best friends. We might not have the greatest relationships with our parents, with our siblings, but we must, I feel, we must have wonderful relationships with ourselves.
And to me, that is taking care of yourself. That's the essence of it.
Yeah, because you're with yourself all the time. There's like not a moment, a second that you are not, right? So these conversations, it kind of reminds me of the conversations with God. I forgot who the author is, but he's having these conversations with God, right? And at one point he goes, how do I know that this is not my imagination? And then God, quote unquote, responds, you don't. You're just going to have to try it. And, if what I'm saying resonates with you, then do that. And if it doesn't, then don't do that. I can't prove to you that this is not your imagination, and I can't control what you do, but you can go out there and you can test this for yourself. So I think that's really where it comes from. It's It's really knowing and understanding that for me, God, Spirit, is always with me. It's not like God is only with me when I pray in the morning, when I'm praying in my car, when I'm praying on my computer. God is not only with me in those moments. Like, God is always with me, right? So we talked about this a few episodes ago, where I'm constantly praying, where these conversations are constant prayers. And it's really what it is, because even to this day, of course, I have triggers. So every so often, I have to revisit why this is triggering me. Like I like you said earlier in one of these episodes have been awesome. If you haven't listened to them, I would suggest you go back and listen to some of these episodes, all of them, actually, where you had mentioned inventory, like taking stock, right, of your day and how that day went about and what you could have done to either improve it, or what you could have done or said in a lighter aspect, right? In the light aspect of you did an awesome job. Moving on tomorrow, if this were to come across, in your way, how would we handle that? How would I handle that? And self-talk has allowed me to continue these conversations with myself and to continue becoming a better individual, and to do it in a loving way, and not doing it in a way where it's self-deprecating, because I do remember self-talk that was just not very nice. And that self-talk came out when I was having conversations with other people. Because I figured if I can talk to myself this way, I can talk to you this way. And I had to change that. I had to change that because I could no longer, I was basically a repellent, right? Like, it was great for flies, but not for human beings. So I had to really be sweeter with myself, because I realized that it was toxic. It was so toxic. It was like going towards other people. And for some reason, when you hurt someone with things that you say to yourself, it hurts you so much more. To say something to other people that you constantly say to yourself, for some reason, you might not react at first, right? But then when you see their reaction, that's painful. That's that hurts, to say, I talk to myself that way. And I remember when I first started, I think I mentioned this, when I first started looking into chakras, there was a moment where someone said, how would you feel if someone you loved talked to themselves the way that you talk to yourself? And I lost it. I couldn't stop crying. I was like, if my little sister talked to herself the way I talk to myself, she will never make it anywhere. I was just like, if my little sister talks to herself the way that I talk to myself, I would be devastated. So it begins with self-talk, I think. Self-talk, self-love, self-appreciation, self-gratitude, knowing that you are brilliant. You are brilliant in what it is that you do. Like, no one else can do what you do. I think that's what gets me every single time. Like, every time I listen to Abraham Hicks, every time I listen to Wayne Dyer, like every time I listen to Reverend Christian, I'm like, no one can do it like he does. No one can tap into that I don't know what to call it, into that realm the way that this individual did it. And I genuinely, from the very bottom of my being, feel like every single individual on this planet has that. And if I could create my ideal world, everybody would be working on their
Did you just say
niche.
When you create your ideal world? Is that what you just said?
Did I say when? I meant if I could. Did I really say when? It's possible. But it would be amazing to see everyone kind of just loving what they do and being the best at it.
And do what they love.
And do what they love, yeah. Because for me, there are a few individuals who do that, and you could see it. You could see it in the way that they walk. You could see it in the way that they talk. You could really genuinely, you could feel it, right? Like energy.
I'm feeling it right now from you.
Energy talks, you know. You know, in the streets, you would say like, you know, like I'm not feeling your vibes, or I am feeling your vibes, right?
Or I'm not feeling you.
Yeah, or I'm just not feeling it. Like, I'm not feeling it. I'm not going in there for whatever reason. So, like, energy really talks. And it's funny because this comes back around to self-talk. So what are you telling yourself? Because, you know, I told my mom one time, we think that our thoughts are secrets, but that's the number one thing that, like, just shows, like, it's open for everyone. Like that, like, it's louder than words. It's louder than... It's louder than anything that we could possibly like imagine. It's loud. Like people could feel it. People could feel it. Like you ever walked into a room and you're like, there's something happened here.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, right? This is the energy that was left behind. That was whatever, either self-talk or out loud talk or whatever talk was happening. You're not feeling it. And so you're either going to leave or you're just not. And that's how life works, which is so funny because if the more you tell yourself you're not worth it, the longer it'll take to get to you. For me, anyway, this is what I've experienced, right? The more I tell myself I can't do that right now, the longer it takes for me to get it done, right? The more that I tell myself I can't do that, then what ends up happening is that I really can't do it. So self-talk has been my number one key. It's been my guide because the moment that I hear myself, now that I am aware of it, now that I have been mindful, now that I am conscious of what the thoughts are that are moving in my mind, is that I can see that gratitude has been an anchor, right? Because you get chakras and realms and being able to go out into space through, like, what is that called? Lucid dreaming. And then gratitude has been my anchor. And knowing that I am more than enough for all the things that I want. Knowing that I am enough to have what I dream of. Knowing that I am capable enough for what I desire to do. Knowing that my skills only come within me and that I could teach other people, but the passion won't be the same. And there are so many people that I aspire to be, but there is only one Oprah. You know, only Oprah could do it the way that she does it, and that's fine. That is more than okay. Because I don't want to be her. I want to be like her, but I don't want to be her because no one could do what I do the way I do it, and no one could do what she does the way she does it, and we all have this. We are all more than enough. I truly, genuinely feel this, that we are all more than enough. And it all comes to the attitude of gratitude. Because the moment that we start shutting down, the moment we start like being nasty with one another, you start cutting off that energy field. You start cutting off the opportunities and possibilities that are available to you. Because you're shutting down that gratitude. And whoever you're trying to work with is kind of going to be like, I'm good. Whatever you're giving off, I don't want it. And that happens. Like, think about how many times in your life you've showed up and you're like, I felt what was happening there and it didn't feel right. You know, I hear it a lot. Like, I had this gut feeling that I should leave. And that's what happens. So just like we could feel those things, other people could feel it from us. This attitude of gratitude can be felt by other people, can be felt by the opportunities that are just lying right from our fingertips, like right there. And the moment we start appreciating it is where it just like gets attracted right to us. And when we cut it off, we repel. Like we're repelling those things that we want and thinking that we're not enough to have them.